He began by saying to them, "Today, as you listen, this scripture has been fulfilled." In the Beatitudes, Jesus paints a picture of life in the kingdom of heaven. What was this kingdom that he kept referring to? Was it just some future eternal existence that the saved will experience? I don't think so. While Jesus clearly taught some future redemptive healing in eternity, I believe that when Jesus spoke of the kingdom, he meant it to be for the here and now. In the first 12 verses, Jesus lists conditions that will result in God's blessing. In the Beatitudes, Jesus says that in his kingdom, including the here and now, you will be blessed if you are poor in spirit or materially poor, mourn or weep, are meek, hunger and thirst for righteousness or are physically hungry, are merciful, are pure in heart, are peacemakers, are persecuted for righteousness' sake, are reviled and persecuted falsely on Jesus' account. Nowhere here does Jesus say that you will be blessed because you believe in some specific doctrine. Nowhere does he even mention religion or theology. Jesus doesn't even tie blessing to acts that we do for God or the church. That isn't to say that he is discouraging sound doctrine or faith, but he clearly lists blessings that supersede those things. This tells us so much about what God values. God doesn't care about your religion. He isn't moved by what creeds you can recite. He isn't interested in your theological insights or interpretations. God is looking beneath those things. He is interested in our hearts and how our hearts impact our treatment of others and our love for our Creator. These prerequisites for God's blessing are tied to conditions we experience and our response to those circumstances. They often demonstrate a recognition of our inadequacies. We are poor in spirit because we recognize that God's ways are higher than ours. We acknowledge that we are easily misled and incapable of saving ourselves. We know that we are utterly dependent on Him. We mourn because we have soft hearts that recognize our brokenness and the suffering in the world around us. We weep due to our inability to repair what is broken. We are meek because we realize that only God is worthy of praise and awe. We recognize that we aren't superior to our neighbors and that whatever good fortune we have comes from God. We hunger and thirst for righteousness because we see our own spiritual failings and recognize our need for God's cleansing. We are merciful because God is merciful, and we depend on that mercy. We try to be pure in heart because it draws us closer to the source of all purity. We are peacemakers because God made peace with us and loves our enemies as deeply as He loves us. We are persecuted and reviled because we recognize that the systems of this world are grounded in selfishness, tribalism, and hate. The kingdom of heaven seeks to change that system, not through political power, but through radical and personal transformation. Jesus' blessings are, perhaps, the most revolutionary sayings ever spoken. They turn on its head the basis of much of this world's values. Even when lip service is given to the values of Jesus' kingdom, they are seldom practiced. They are seen as so impossible to embrace as to be mere anecdotes. But these values are the baseline of our faith. These were spoken to the most distant of Jesus' followers. Today's verse. Jesus was not merely promising a future and heavenly kingdom. What was truly radical about Jesus' teaching was that he was calling for, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven."